TV Africa. Very good morning to you. We're glad to be back on your screens right here on what is an interesting edition of The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. I'm Kofi Bartels.
And I am Mercy Bokos. Beautiful Friday morning.
Fantastic, Mercy. It's been an eventful week. We've had very incisive discussions on this program, and today we're running it all up with an important look at a disease that affects a lot of people. And from what I hear, some people who have glaucoma do not know they have it. We'll be talking to a guest. I can't wait for him to be with us, and so we can know some more about this. Not all the time we talk about politics. These are the important issues that affect the lives of people. But let's start off with a look at the stories that have been trending over the past 24 hours. And very interesting one. We'll roll you a video, and this is something that you can never write up. Like we normally say, you can never write this script. It just writes itself. One of the trains, a train that was traveling from on the Lagos-Ibadan express route, or the train route rather, was said to have gotten stuck, and it ran out of fuel. You know, over the last weekend, I had a cancelled flight. You know, and here we have the video. I had a cancelled flight. What happened? I was told that there were technical issues, but some people suspect that the cancelled flights around the country was due to a scarcity of A1, jet fuel. Now we have a train running out of fuel in the middle of nowhere, and this is user-generated content. You can see the pictures right there, but the video itself says a story. I don't know if we can roll that video, but if you hear what the passenger said in the video, it's quite funny. They had to bring a pickup truck. You can see some expatriates there as well. They had to bring a pickup truck loaded with a barrel of diesel. And that was what they were able to now roll on the ground. And then they put a hose into the barrel. We're able to now, with their hand, you can see him pump the petrol into the train. And the guy who was with the phone putting up this user-generated content online was saying, "Oh, in case you're planning to buy a train in the future for yourself, this is how you fuel it. We're stuck in the middle of nowhere. The train ran out of fuel. We had to wait for them to bring the petrol or the diesel, whichever it is, for us before we can move." We thank God I think they're safely in Lagos now, but this is bizarre, according to some.
Very unfortunate, very, very sad incident that happened yesterday. But a lot of people would want to say that this is not necessarily, having to blame the government on this one. I mean, it just shows failure of administration. The same thing as having your generator. Yeah, it's bad, but it happens. It happens across, parts of the country. But it's not an excuse. I'm just trying to say that let's not blame this on, scarcity of jet A1. That's not the case. Really? Someone just failed at their job, and that's exactly what happened.
So this
because you're supposed to understand, it's like you have a generator, you have a car, and when you're running down, you're going empty. You know when the tank is full, you know what you're supposed to do. You know that before you turn on the generator, you know the basic maintenance culture that we carry out. For those who own the cars, I'm sure this would not be like an excuse. So you understand. So I understand that there's fuel scarcity. We have aviation scarcity, the fact that it's on the high. But you want to agree with me that this is a government corporation. I mean, so it is not acceptable, but it happens. It just shows you that let's not begin to say, oh, it's Buhari's fault now, or, the governor of Lagos State, or you blame the minister. But we blame those who should ensure that they know.
Or we blame Desmond Elliott. We blame Desmond Elliott.
So it's not part of that. The point is,
so what you're saying is, before you embark on a journey, you should do your calculations.
Exactly.
You should know what fuel. Imagine if this was an aeroplane.
No, imagine what would have happened. It's funny now because
that's an excellent point.
It's funny now because we didn't have any casualty. I mean, just imagine that. It's nowhere. This is Nigeria, and a lot of you hear of a lot of insecurity issues. I mean, bandits could come out. they will probably will be
Yeah,
smiling.
yeah,
They would probably
that's
be
a
running helter
possibility.
skelter.
Yeah.
So it just shows you that we need to do a lot. I mean, we can't just wake up and act like. Yes, we understand that from time to time we've had in parts of the world where these things happen, but
Learn from our
yeah, we
mistakes.
don't learn from our mistakes or the mistakes of others. I mean, the fact that you have a car, you own a generator. Generator said, I remember back then just being at home, you dare not even go turn the generator. Mom would actually ask you, have you checked? Is there oil? Is there? So you need to do all of that. And so who actually went on send the train? It's a very big risk. What if something happened?
You know what some people were saying, and this is a fantastic point you've raised. That before you set out on the journey, you have to do your preparations. And imagine if this was an aeroplane that lost fuel, went out to fuel in the sky.
They'd come down.
The aviation sector you have to be on the money. You have to plan. You have to be very careful. They do a lot of, they're very, very strict in their standards. Unfortunately, the rail sector is run by government. Some days ago I was thinking about it. I was running a search through the courier companies in Nigeria, just to do some back to know which one can courier something from me from Lagos to Calabar. Because we know how the roads are and all that. So I wasn't sure who. And I've had a very, very nasty experience with one transport company that I thought could courier my stuff from Port Harcourt, from Lagos to Port Harcourt. And from December 25th till now, it's not arrived. So what I did was I had to start, going through the Instagram posts of these courier companies, because they're dealing with Nigerians, really, to know which one has the fewest complaints so I can use them.
Based on the reviews.
Then I chanced upon an article talking about NIPOST and how the failure of NIPOST had led to, a lot of both international and local and even mushroom courier companies coming up. And I'm like, wow. So I started reading about things that caused NIPOST to fail. You had even people's items being stolen, in NIPOST and stuff like that. So I don't know whether this what we're seeing now is one of the evidences we know of the ineptitude of government when it comes to running things. We have the aviation sector, Nigerian Airways, gone. We have the postal sector, NIPOST, gone. We have the telecommunications sector, NITEL, gone. We can go on and on and on. And now we have the rail sector, lots of investment. We've taken loans from the Chinese, and it still is in government hands, Nigerian Railway Corporation. And this is what we're seeing. But some people online were saying, it can happen anywhere in the world. For one person commenting said, gave a screenshot of what happened in Los Angeles when Amtrak train traveling from San Diego ran out of fuel on Sunday night. Blah, blah, blah. But should we be living by those standards? I don't know whether we should be living by those standards. It's really unfortunate. It's a poor advertisement for the nation. I mean, we've been seeing other videos apart from this. Last year, I'm sure you remember, we saw a couple of videos where people got stuck in the middle of nowhere.
So I think that
the train broke down.
This whole culture and this ideology of saying, yes, I understand. I mean, we're taught that in elementary government and economics, that government is not a good manager of anything,
Yes,
and so.
yes.
But let's even look at it in its real sense. The people who run the affairs of government are not spirit; they are human beings, and so whether or not we begin to make the argument, it's a human issue. We need to begin to put structures and have. What's it called again? Have principles and put out those standards. They are human beings, whether they're in the private sector or, in the government sector. And that's what it is.
All right. The Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers around the country is just a union of road transport workers. But in the southwest part of Nigeria, and in Lagos in particular, it's a different ballgame. I've told you previously that I never get why Lagosians used to call, I never really understood why Lagosians used to call the NURTW officials Agbero. Because where the other parts of the country I've lived in, Agbero, when you hear Agbero, you think of area boy, But I got to understand that Agbero meant those who load passengers into buses or taxis, rather, at the various parks in Lagos. But it's not a palatable term to be associated with. And of course, we've seen the incidents, the violence and internal fightings leading to gunshots and use of dangerous weapons by the National Union of Road Transport Workers in Lagos State, led by the legendary MC Oluomo. You know, and this guy called MC Oluomo is a sort of an enigma. It's an enigmatic figure. You know, even musicians have sung songs that included his name. The famous song by Tenny
Makanaki.
Makanaki, where she said, I go call MC Oluomo, I go report all of them. So he's seen as someone you can report things to. He's also seen as a political stakeholder in Lagos State, where, you know, the NURTW is aligned with the All Progressives Congress and Tinubu in Lagos State to make sure they win elections. Let me put it that way. Okay, let me put it that way, for want of a better term. Well, the police have had to intervene in different skirmishes. The Lagos State government has had to intervene in different skirmishes in the NURTW and between NURTW and another union. And some persons have been arrested. But the latest one, of course, that got tongues wagging was the fact that the news that the national body of the NURTW had ordered the immediate suspension of MC Oluomo. His name is Musiliu Akinsonya. They suspended this man for what they called misconduct and insubordination to the union management. You remember he had led a protest in which he, alongside some of his supporters, accused the union at the national level of unnecessarily interfering in the affairs of the union in Lagos State. So what has been MC Oluomo's reaction? He called on the Lagos State governor to take over all the motor parks. He called on the Lagos State governor to take over the motor parks. That was his own reaction. He said that Governor Sanwo-Olu should take over the motor parks and run the affairs. The police in Lagos State, in the meantime, released their men and stationed different policemen at different motor parks in Lagos in a bid to forestall violence. Because, of course, if Olumo's people are not there, some other people will have to take over. And that was a good one, but I saw some police vans moving around Lagos State yesterday. But what we hear also is that the NURTW in Lagos State has withdrawn from the national body. And they say they're going to be running things on their own. So it's a dicey situation, and we'll be watching to see what happens in this space.
Well, let's see how all of that pans out. The next one, top trending for us, is the pageant that happened in prison. And of course, some people say she's become a celebrity, talking about Chidinma, who was... some people say now you don't have to begin to use the word alleged. There's been she has confessed to that crime. However, the case is still in court, and usually when you have a case in court, I mean, it's out of, a conversation in public space. But looking at I think what's really causing a lot of Nigerians to talk is the fact that, yes, it looks as if she's in glam. I mean, understand the concerns of Nigerians.
A lot of you football fans expressed sadness over the news that broke about Roman Abramovich, the owner of Chelsea Football Club. Remember, he's been trying to sell the football club for some time. And that was also a shocker, having owned the club for so many years. And the Roman Abramovich era in Chelsea is the most successful era in the history of that club. And they actually are living their most successful moment. They've won the UEFA Champions League last season. At the beginning of this season, they won the UEFA Super Cup. And then they went on to win the World Club Championship, World Club Cup, for the first time in their history. Last time they won the Champions League, they didn't win that trophy. And it's caused a lot of people to be surprised that the owner of the club wants to sell the club at this time. But of course, this is not unconnected with what's been happening between Ukraine and Russia and the expected sanctions on the Russian oligarchs, most of whom have connections to Vladimir Putin. It's a long story. We might go into that at another part of this program. But quite a number of Chelsea fans were not happy with what's going on.
So it's not going to be, a very easy season for Chelsea right now, because we also hear reports saying that they're not expected to sell tickets. It's just going to be quite a difficult time, for them. But it was really a great move that, Abramovich actually made that move to put up Chelsea for sale. And some people are saying, oh, what does the, the staff, because it would actually affect those who work. It would affect a lot of persons. But you see, it just shows you that one man's action can trickle down to every other person. But we'll definitely see how things actually unfold as we proceed in the course of, the show and moving forward generally.
All right, that's it on our top trending topic, or top trending segment. It's still the breakfast on Plus TV Africa. We'll take a pause now and look at what happened today in history. And when we come back, we dive straight into the headlines of the front pages of the national daily. Stay with us.
Do you know any female between the ages of 18 to 25 who is currently unemployed or an undergraduate who is passionate about technology? Africa Agility is empowering young females between the ages of 18 to 25 with tech skills ranging from
product management,
web development, artificial intelligence, data science, digital marketing, machine learning, blockchain technology, agile, networking, and cybersecurity through partnership with Cisco. Here is your chance to learn these tech skills for free. We offer a variety of instructor-led and self-paced programs, both physical and virtual. To be a part of our programs, join our community using the details on your screen. Africa Agility is slowly reducing the poverty rate in Africa, one girl at a time. To sponsor a female or to donate to this course, visit donate.africaagility.org. Thank you.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Welcome back. It's still the breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Now time to look at the stories of the pages on national dailies. Of course, G.D. Johnson has been a regular on this segment. He joins us again. He's a senior lecturer at the Nigerian Institute of Journalism. Mr. Johnson, good morning to you.
Good morning, Kofi, and good morning, Messi. Good morning to our viewers all over the world.
Fantastic.
And back at Jimo to every one of us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's start with the stories or the headlines coming off the front page of the Nation newspaper. With the big one, they've been sticking with the APC crisis for the past few days, and today is no different. Buni, Malami, Emefiele to confer with Buhari in UK. Buni, Malami, Emefiele to confer with Buhari in UK. The following riders: Yobe Governor Sani Bello differ on transfer of functions. Tinubu, a party should remain democratic. Party should remain democratic. I don't know what's going on there, but a certain letter popped up yesterday, purportedly from Mai Malabuni, handing over the party temporarily to Governor Sani Bello while he goes to Dubai to treat himself. Is this a coup d'etat? 11 killed in Kaduna, Benue bandits, gunmen raids. Sad one. Umahi begs judge, gets order to stay. Excitement as Olubadan is installed, finally. Banks suspend ATM POS transactions abroad. And of course, we have more stories from the Nation newspaper. Chidinma wins beauty pageant in prison. Lagos suspends NURTW activities. APC needs 21-day notice to change Buni, says INEC, and declines invitation to party's NEC meeting. JAMB won't extend UTME registration, and PDP's NEC meeting to hold March 15. Those are some of the headlines on the front page of The Nation.
Away from the Nation newspaper, let's take a quick look at the Punch and find out what the Punch got to say this morning. 208 court cases threaten the APC convention. It's really, really sad and unfortunate, and a lot of people have been questioning whether or not the APC convention slated for the 26th of March would definitely happen as Buni fights back. That's what you have. 208 court cases threatens APC convention. Buni fights back. 9 cases challenging interim panel seek indefinite postponement. Buni Yahoo governors against APC progress. Akeredolu is quoted, and Yobe governor wrote Bello to act while abroad for treatment state letter. That's also another rider there. Another one says the Jet A1 Airlines allege racketing, the NCAA may ground planes soon, talking about, the fact that the airlines might probably just shut down their operation. And a lot of people, that has thrown a lot of Nigerians to serious panic. Federal government seeks U.S. funding for gas supply to Europe amidst Russia boycott. Nominees kickers Ebonyi court orders Umahi to retain seat. You also have Russia-Ukraine. High food, fuel prices loom in Nigeria. Others says the International Monetary Fund. Constantly, it feels like the International Monetary Fund is very concerned with Nigeria. And Nigeria might not be, and her leaders not even understanding what's going on in the country. PDP plans peace panel over a Edo crisis. Eyes 2023 victory. That's also another one. And just before we move away, you have insurgency disseminated. 30,000 Boko Haram ISWAP fighters surrendered, says SGF. Workers must sack self-centered professional politicians in 2023. That's what the NLC is saying. And just as we're looking at the Punch again shortly before we move away, please tighten security as MC Oluomo dares NURTW and withdraws members. That's serious. Okay, please arraign Fani Kayode's estranged wife for alleged cyber crime. And these are some of the headlines on the Punch this morning.
Let's turn attention to the headlines on the front page of the Daily Independent. They are studying and highlighting the aviation sector challenges with a big headline there. We may shut down Nigeria's airspace. NCAA boss wants. Aeon laments aviation fuel scarcity, rejects marketers' blackmail. Jet A1 climbs to 700 naira per litre. NAPE warns it may cripple the economy. What is happening to Nigeria? Don't test the patience of Benue people, Otom warns herdsmen. Another 6 persons killed in fresh herders' attacks. Don't vacate your offices. Court tells Umahi deputy. Ebonyi speaker, 14 others file appeal. Stay of execution over sack. Ogun Assembly misappropriated 700 million naira, forged the OBJ company's document, EFCC alleges. That's an interesting one. PDP gets judgment date in suit to sack Zamfara governor. Others, April 8. holds NEC meeting Tuesday. And it's the same judge, Iyayoko, who that case is before. COVID-19, Nigeria among 35 countries where 1 in every 4 household starves. NNPC worried as communities shift loyalty to informal security operatives. Why APC may not hold March 26 National Convention, and that a writer to that headline, only Yahoo governors are with Buni, says Akeredolu. Finally, NURTW suspends Lagos MC Oluomo indefinitely. Well, he seems to have also suspended them in Lagos. Those are the stories coming up on the front page of the Daily Independent.
Well, away from the Daily Independent newspaper this morning, let's take a quick look at the Nigerian Tribune. Looking at the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, convention crisis. Yahoo governors back Buni, Akeredolu alleges. And if the president, you have some reports saying the president has sacked, the caretaker committee, which of course was led by Buni. It doesn't mean the president is part of the Yahoo system. Anyways, you find as Buni letter transferring to Bello surfaces. I did not get any letter from Buni. Bello, after 7 years of APC in power, Tinubu says we still have a lot of work to do. Yahaya Bello is shield of APC in Nigeria. That's what the Senate president is quoted to say. Aviation fuel, you have the airline saying we may shut down nation's airspace. As reps, you also find reps blow hot on cartel operating in aviation sector. NNPC says there's enough product. Russia-Ukraine war taking toll on our businesses. That's what NATO major marketers cry out. It says diesel unaffordable. And just before we move away, passengers stranded as Ibadan-Lagos train runs out of diesel. And NURTW suspend MC Oluomo. That's also another one. We are no longer members of NURTW. He replies, the CP Titan Security in Lagos. Wives of Kebbi slain soldiers attack commanding officers' residence. And these are some of the headlines this morning on the Nigerian Tribune. Well, it's time for us to have Jide Johnson join the conversation this morning. Good morning, Jide Johnson. It's good to have you join us.
Good morning, Mercy. Good morning, Mercy. Good morning, Kofi, and good morning to our viewers all over the world.
All right, Jide, let's leave it open to you now. Which of the headlines, today seemed to be very interesting, very choked up. Which of them caught your attention as we went through the pages of our national dailies?
It's the APC House of Commotion. That it should call for concern for every one of us. That both not only APC, even PDP, the two major parties upon which will be public administration in 2023, none of it could put its own house in order. And it's instructive and it's interesting that if someone cannot take care of his domestic affair, he's not given the responsibility of managing the community affair. And that's what we have witnessed. We have seen parties not having respect for the constitution of their own party, the major fabric upon which they build their values and their principles. And from 1999 to date, we have seen that, and we have seen that someone that does not have respect for the values, for the principles, for the ethos of its party, deals the basic foundation that established it as a party with levity, treat it as if it does not exist. And then you want to entrust the responsibility of managing what constitutes the Nigerian nation into such. And that's why we have seen different degrees of level of impunity. Any party that does not have respect for the constitution of its party will not have respect for the constitution of Nigeria if it gets into power. It's very, very clear. And we have seen that character as being part and parcel of PDP. We have seen that character demonstrated by APC in the last 7 years that they have been in power, that even the alleged national leader of the party is saying that they don't have democratic principles. So it's rather unfortunate. In the first instance, there's no provisions in APC constitution for a caretaker committee. 1. 2, they have that arrangement because Adams Oshiomhole was removed However, 2 years plus down the line, APC has not been able to hold its convention. Has not been able to hold convention that Buni now transmit letter. There's no provisions within the constitution that talks about if the chairman is excused, if the chairman of the caretaker committee and extraordinary national executive committee is exiting. This is the arrangement which we have in place. So he's now transmitting letter to Bello, from Buni to Bello, that okay, I want to go abroad for medical treatment, so you take over from me. But under normal circumstances, if you have an arrangement whereby the head or the chairman of the committee is from the north, the deputy usually comes from the south. So if you have a democratic arrangement, if you have a nice arrangement, the person that should take over from Buni shouldn't be somebody from the north, but somebody from the south. But since it's a house of commotion, and most of the people that are in my generation will understand one of these drama series which was Fuji House of Commotion. So we are seeing politics house of commotion, both in PDP and in APC. And it is not good for our polity that if the two parties upon which we will build our public administration, because let's not deceive ourselves, there's no other party that will win the election in 2023 with the exception of either APC or PDP. These are the two parties that all the major actors converge, and that itself should give a lot of concern for Nigeria. In Edo State, the PDP is setting up a peace panel to look into Edo crisis. There is a crisis in Osun State. PDP had its primaries in Osun State, and for gubernatorial primaries in Osun State, it produced 2 candidates. When are we going to? I was talking to a friend who happens to be a senior journalist, and I told him that one of the things INEC need to do is to remove the issue of substitution or no substitution. Why should you substitute the candidate? Once you have done the primaries, the candidate should emerge from the primaries. What you can have is replacement, and that should be in the case of death. That should be the only base that you can only replace. Once you have done the primary, and INEC has witnessed the primaries, you have picked your candidate, you cannot substitute.
Okay.
Candidate.
Jide Johnson, interesting. With the state of the nation as it is, you see the party, the All Progressives Congress, who is the ruling party in the government, like you said, is not able to put its house in order. Maybe the way the economy, the way the country is, security, and the naira and everything is just a reflection of the chaos in the party, because the economy is in chaos right now. We'll look at the aviation sector as we go on. Let's stay with the crisis in the party. Let's look at this headline. Buni Malami Emefiele to confer with Buhari in UK. Buni Malami Emefiele to confer Buhari in UK. That's on the front page of the Nation newspaper, by the way. So the governor of a Nigerian state who left the country to go to Dubai to go and seek medical treatment, he's saying he will fly from Dubai to London to meet the president of Nigeria, who left Nigeria to go to London to treat himself. How bizarre is that, Jide Johnson?
It's funny that you're having the central bank governor, and then I don't care if Buni goes to see Buhari, but you're having the central bank governor and the attorney general of the federation, whereas the president himself said by proclamation that all activities relating to governance has been handed over to the vice president. But you see a situation whereby the attorney general, which some people in some certain quarters have accused of being the stumbling block in the wheel of progress of managing the party and of managing the nation. What are they going to see the president for? The vice president is here in Nigeria. They could discuss whatever they want to discuss. If indeed the president has gone for medical rest or for medical trip, why are they going to London to disturb him? So we have transferred governance from Nigeria to UK. For Buni's case, Buni has to see the president because Buni himself lost out in the power play that is happening within the APC. For Akeredolu, the governor of Ondo State, and then the former MB president, to have accused some of the APC governors that are supporting Buni to be Yahoo. It is very, very instructive for him to have used that term, that it is Yahoo APC governors that are submitting. So are those ones committing, obtaining money by fraud, or are they involved in what Hush Puppy? So we have Hush Puppy like governor, quote unquote, in the function of you having Yahoo governor. So you have Yahoo because what you have in society is a reflection of the leadership. So we have Yao governor, we have Yao pastor, we have Yao journalist too.
Well, I don't know if Bessie myself fall into that category, but I doubt we do.
On the
I doubt we do. Yeah, I understand. But Jide Johnson, isn't the president to blame, in all of this? Sorry, I'm using the blame word here. Because you remember last week or the upper week, when he was meant to meet with the APC governors, or I think either the governors or one of the highest bodies in the party, he didn't meet with them and instead hopped on the plane to go to Kenya, And in the midst of all the crisis in the country right now, he's in London as if there's nothing going. Meanwhile, his house is on fire. Also, please respond to this headline, still from the Nation newspaper. APC needs 21-day notice to change Buni, says INEC. Declines invitation to party's NEC meeting. I don't know if you saw the letter purportedly from Buni saying, Ahmadu Ali, stay in my stead till I come back. And he also copied INEC as well. The governor who is now the leader of the party is saying he never received any letter. So your thoughts on, first of all, President Buhari, the questioner asked, and then this headline.
Well, I think that the president has left a lot of things undone with respect to the party. One, allowing the caretaker committee's tenure to be extended over time. That is antithetical to democratic norms and practices. For you to have a caretaker arrangement running the party. Now, that means that if they could succeed in doing that, they could have a caretaker arrangement in running Nigeria. And you could say that with what is happening with Emefiele and Malami going to meet the president in London to confer with me. That means that what we have in Nigeria with the president absent is a caretaker arrangement. That's my thought. I might be wrong, but it's my opinion. I'm entitled to my own opinion. With INEC issue, I don't think INEC has any. APC could work around. It's just mere technicalities. You see that the issue of letter popping up left, right, and center now, with Buni saying that he's going for medical treatment. Now, would they need, if something should happen by force majeure, or by the force majeure by which they don't have any control over, will the INEC tell them to wait for 21 days for them to change? So what they need to do is to tidy up the documentation. If Buni should resign today, will INEC tell them that they need 21 days for them to change? So APC could write INEC and tell INEC, you know what? I think that is what INEC is just doing is grandstanding. It's grandstanding and it's a voter face. Documentation from APC will solve that problem. And I think that they've identified the problem. They started the process by saying that there's a letter from Buni to Bello, although Bello is denying that there is that letter from him, because acceptance of that letter itself will show an arrangement of transference of power. And if Buni should come back, they might want to get that power back, and it leads to the issue of litigation. And then we could see that APC itself is faced with a series of litigation. There is a particular headline which we read that 208 court cases threatens APC conversion. We have a situation whereby there are 72 state executive committees of the APC, because in each state you have two parallel conventions. So if you have 72, that means that 774 local governments times 2, and then if you go 774 local government times 2, if you do that arrangement and we see there's 10 wards per each of the local government, that means we have close to about 7,000 parallel executive at the ward level, 774 times 2 at the local government level.
It's a really green picture. Maybe you should make that 73, but because in Akwa Ibom State they had 3 parallel congresses there.
And you begin to wonder what's really happening. That if a party cannot come together, because the basic definition of political party is people that have similar interests, share the same values, come together to form a party under one ideology in order to contest election, win election, and control government. But if you have a situation whereby the party cannot come together to hold you, then you have crisis. APC is not only excused from this; it's affecting PDP too. You have that arrangement in PDP, and I think it's affected. Like you pointed out, Kofi, the state of the economy, because the parties that are met, they can't manage their own affairs. It's like a man that cannot control his household, and you want to make him to be the head of the community. Someone that has no control over his household, he cannot take care of his household. You make him the head of the community. We say this thing in local parlance. We say charity begins at home. It begins at home. And we have seen that these parties, the two parties, but essentially it's APC we are looking at because it's the ruling party, now cannot put their house, they are not put their house in order. It's unfortunate. And my advice to Nigeria, let me just end this message, please. Thank you. My advice to Nigeria come 2023 is for us to look out very, very well and elect somebody whose household is in perfect order. We first look at what is the arrangement of that person in his household as a person and then in the party. Thank you. Merci. You can come on board because I've not heard your voice since.
Well, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper this morning. It talks about the issues going around the aviation sector. Airlines to shut down operation over fuel scarcity, and that's what the Punch is quoted to say. What do you really make of this? I mean, just yesterday, we also have we had a situation on the report. I mean, the videos were actually viral, heading from Lagos to Ibadan.
Yeah, well, if that had been an aircraft, what do you think will happen to that aircraft?
It come down. Jide Johnson, do we still have you on the line?
Crash it.
Okay. We probably seem to be having some
crashes and people die. Because when I'm still from your end. Mercy, can you hear me?
Now we can hear you clearly. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Okay, so I recall in 2012 when it's just like I said, if that train had been an aircraft, that would have been a crash, and then we start investigation. I wouldn't know that diesel is the cause of that crash of that airline. And we are seeing a situation whereby adulterated fuel could end up being used to fly aircraft. We are seeing the National Civil Aviation Authority threatening to shut down the Nigerian airspace. Well, technically, the Nigerian airspace is shut down because the commercial airline operators can't have access to diesel, even if they have to jet fuel, even if they have access to it. Can they afford it? Do we even know the nature of the fuel they are selling? They are selling to them. This is a major issue that we need to look to. So there's already a shutdown. We could have had a shutdown of this program, like I told you. There's no light in my hood. There's no fuel. And then, if not for nature, would we have been able to connect with this program? So we have a shutdown. The society is already shut down. You could see that government is shut down because government has relocated to London. The party is shut down because the head of the party has relocated.
I think that's some sarcasm coming from you there.
No, it's a shutdown. No, it's a shutdown. True. It's a shutdown because things can't get done because power is concentrated in individual and not in system. Even when the president by proclamation says that I've handed over to the vice president, and then the attorney general, the chief law officer, that should be the main enforcer of that, is traveling abroad. Merci. It's unfortunate. I thank God for the life of those people that were inside that train. That was not an airline. If it's an airline, they will have come down in Jesus' name, and then it would have put the nation in mourning for human error, grievous human error.
It's unfortunate. Some point I was making earlier on a trending topic segment was one of the things about the railway industry in the country is that it's still in government hands, namely the Nigeria Railway Corporation. And maybe we should be looking at privatizing it. But Jide Johnson, talking about all the issues bedeviling the nation, we just pray that we can limp across the line into 2023. And maybe, I'm sure you agree, 2023 can come faster for us to just have an end to the nightmare that we're all going through. Sorry about the light situation in your area. If we want to go into what the Transmission Company of Nigeria is saying about the generating capacity of the country in terms of megawatts we have today, that's another sad story. But on Tuesday, the convoy of the Deputy Governor of Kebbi State was attacked, and you're very aware of this, held in an exchange of gunfire, gun battle with so-called bandits for over 2 hours. These bandits leaving with at least 19 security operatives dead in their wake. Today we're hearing on the front page of the Punch newspaper, insurgents decimated. 30,000 Boko Haram and ISWAP fighters surrendered, says SGF. Insurgents decimated. 30,000 Boko Haram ISWAP fighters surrendered, says SGF. Maybe would you say that this current increase in banditry in the country may be taken away from the successes that the government is recording against Boko Haram? Because it seems like Boko Haram attacks have been reducing in the recent weeks.
Now, you are saying, is the secretary to the federal government, is he the spokesperson for Nigerian defense? Is he the chief of defense staff? Is he within the purview of his office to provide us with such information? That, for me, as far as I'm concerned, is a political statement when the information you are providing does not match up with the reality that you have on ground. You just share the story. If the convoy of the deputy governor could be attacked, and that was the convoy of the deputy governor of the state of the attorney general of the federation, Kebbi State, and 19 security operatives were abducted. And then the following day, the SGF is coming out to say that, okay, we have won the war. Those are just political statements as far as I'm concerned. It's very, very clear that we still have security challenges that need to be dealt with. You have a lot of disruption by non-state actors. If we relate that to what is happening in Lagos State concerning NRTW and national NRTW and Lagos NRTW and government taking over at the parks, as far as those of us that are aware of that, there is a security implications of that development. And that's why a lot of people that are very, very knowledgeable about how the NRTW operates and the politics of the NRTW, we pray for a peaceful and amicable resolution of that problem, because that's important crisis, violence and mayhem into various Lagos community. We've seen that, and we saw that some people were arrested because of violence in the Dumota, and we have not heard anything concerning that cases. That particular case we've seen in Ojo too in the last. I'm talking about in the last 1 year. So when you look at security issues, not limited to banditry alone, kidnapping and all of that, that has not been seriously dealt with, and the SGF is just playing to the gallery to justify his appointment and his pay to his masters. As far as an average Nigerian is concerned, he's just playing the ostrich.
But just before we let you go, Jide Johnson, we're looking at the Tribune now, where it talks about the fact that we're experiencing fuel scarcity, and the IMF is concerned, saying that a lot will go on. You also have marketers crying out that this conflict that's going on with Russia and Ukraine would really tell a lot on us. I mean, how did we get to this point, really? Do we really import from Russia and Ukraine? And if we do, don't we have neighboring countries?
We are not even, we don't have such trading business with Russia. Supplies 70% of the energy for Germany. Russia supplies to America. Now I'm just putting it across to you. Now, if you are Russia, you are a trader. Who would you trade with? You trade with people that have naira, or you trade with people that have euros or dollars. They can say whatever they want to say, and they can play to the gallery. Without Russia or no Russia, without the Ukraine crisis, we have always had crisis with the energy sector. If you are a major player and we have one of the best crude oil in the world, and then we can't refine the product and we can't tap into what is happening globally. If Russia is supplying America and America is putting sanctions on Russia, this is a time we should tap into it, and we should supply energy to Germany and to other European countries that are highly dependent on Russia, but not. We rather import our crude oil, and we rather export our crude oil and import the finished product back to Nigeria. Nigeria is the only nation.
They actually want to supply gas to Europe, and they're asking for United States to provide funding for that. That's federal government.
Exactly, to provide funding for that, and then you know where the funding will go to. That's areas where they can go and borrow money. You can borrow money for investment. You make money back, but you don't borrow money for infrastructure. Infrastructure that cannot pay itself back. But we have seen this government has borrowed money for a lot of infrastructure. You borrow money for investment. When you borrow money for investment, you will pull back the money.
We have to go.
You pay back.
So I'm so sorry, Jide Johnson. I'm so sorry about the interruption, but time is not being on our side. It's a great picture from the headlines today on the national dailies, but you've done justice to them in your analysis. Jide Johnson is a senior lecturer at the Nigerian Institute of Journalism. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful weekend.
All right. Thank you, Jide Johnson. And that's it on the papers this morning. We will return on Monday, and just before then, let's let you know what happened today in history.
Welcome to this edition of Timeless Conversations. We welcome Remy Ogunpito. He's the founder and managing director of IBST Limited.
For quite a period of time, almost like a year, I didn't know what to do. I think that we don't invest enough in our people.
You said your dad was a politician.
Yes.
Are you a politician?
No way.
Timeless Conversations, airing every Sunday at 8:30 p.m.
Welcome to your favorite program, The Moment of Truth, brought to you by the Citadel Global Community Church. Our God is a God of salvation, far above all principality and power and might and dominion, that regardless of what happens in this season, you will escape. Say to your neighbor, there is no peace for the wicked. The lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence is a man's precious possession. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
Moment of Truth with Pastor Tunde Bakare, Sundays, 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
Peace without justice.
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. Relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
Welcome back. It's still The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. March 6 to 11, 2022 is being marked as the World Glaucoma Week, a global initiative of the World Glaucoma Association, and is said to be a unique initiative that puts a spotlight on glaucoma as a leading cause of preventable, irreversible blindness worldwide. Now, through a series of engaging worldwide activities, patients, eye care providers, health officials, and the general public contribute to sight prevention. In 2013, it was estimated that there were 64.3 million people aged between 40 and 80 years with glaucoma worldwide, projected to increase to 76 million by the year 2020 and 111.8 million by the year 2040. An estimated 1.2 million adults in Nigeria had glaucoma in 2012. What exactly is glaucoma? What do we need to know about its prevention and treatment? We're glad to say we have joining us this morning to shed light on this Dr. John Samsedi. He's the chairman of the Nigerian Optometric Association Lagos chapter. Dr. Samsedi, nice to have you.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Usually would make people would make some mistakes between the word optician and optometrist. What's the difference, very quickly?
Okay, so actually you have the opticians, the optometrists, and the ophthalmologists.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so the optometrists are primary eye care providers, like your eye care physicians, where you have the first point of call for eye care related issues. The ophthalmologists are medical doctors who are surgeons with regards specifically to the eye. The opticians are like your technicians when it comes to like fixing your lenses basically and other new areas. So you just try to shed light on those basic areas. There are other specialties and subspecialties in the eye care industry as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. So let's look at glaucoma. The stats we gave out are pretty old stats, but you were telling me before we came on set that we had some updated stats. So what are we looking at as far as the figures in Nigeria are concerned?
Wow. You know, when it comes to Nigeria, it's always you've just got to be very, very careful, you know. As 2019, that was before the pandemic year, 2020, it was about 76 million people who were either suspects or were on treatment for glaucoma. Now, this does not capture and this is talking about just adults within the range of 40 and 80. We have what we call infantile glaucoma, we have what we call juvenile glaucoma, and other forms of glaucoma, you know. And so this just tells you and gives you a rough picture of the statistics in terms of those that are affected by this condition. Glaucoma, which is the number 2 leading cause of blindness and the number 1 leading cause of irreversible blindness in the world today. And that is why we dedicate a whole week to, you know, creating debate forums and trying to raise awareness and sensitization on the need for people to be proactive when it comes to their eye health.
So you said as of 2019,
6 million adults between the range of 40 and 80.
That's in Nigeria?
Globally now,
globally.
yes.
Okay. So let's get back to the basic. What is glaucoma?
Glaucoma, like I said, is the leading cause of irreversible blindness. And when I mean irreversible, I mean irreversible. When one is hit with glaucoma, nothing can be done. I normally define glaucoma because I understand that the audience, there are different classes of people. So let me break it down. Assuming glaucoma, or the eye is like 100,000 naira. Let me make it, you know. And that 100,000 naira, you have an armed robber that goes in and takes 50,000 naira. Now, here we have the EFCC, the police. You try to go rescue that money. The 50,000 that has been stolen cannot be recovered. What you can do is to make sure you protect the remaining 50,000 naira. Now, that's how deadly glaucoma is. Whatever glaucoma steals cannot be gotten back. So, and the thing is that one of the crazy forms of glaucoma is called open angle glaucoma, which is actually called the silent thief of sight. It doesn't come with any symptom. That's how bad it is. So you have the closed angle glaucoma. It comes with a lot of pain. It's a medical emergency. So usually when people have that pain, they have to go to the clinic, unless for those who are still crazy and still go on, you know, unorthodox stuff. Now, for the open angle glaucoma, we make a lot of noise about it because people never know they have this until 80% of their vision is lost. People usually come for some other things like glasses and other complaints because, one, we do not have that culture in us of regular medical examinations, not to talk of eye care examinations. People don't have that at the back of their heart. No. So most times we need to keep on with this advocacy, trying to make them understand. Now, I'm hoping that this week, as we go on different channels to try and, send this message across, you have a percentage of people too who will, go do the right thing, because like I always say, the doctor is your friend. It's not your enemy. So
sounds like the police is your friend. So, but let's just stay with the fundamental now. Okay. What are the causes of glaucoma? And if you want to talk about those who can get it, I mean, is it limited to a particular set of person in terms of age? Or is it a respecter of anyone? Can a baby get glaucoma from birth? What really causes glaucoma?
Glaucoma is primarily hereditary. It's not because you didn't eat well, it's not because you didn't exercise well or sleep well. Those can be contributory, but the primary cause is hereditary. They're hereditary causes. And also, it also affects people of the African race, especially the open-angle glaucoma. So anybody who is, as we use the word black, which I don't like, but of African descent, is at risk of having glaucoma.
So we all have the risk?
We are all at risk, just by being an African. The reason is this. People will also say, why? Our melanin pigmentation.
Okay.
So because of the dense melanin pigmentation, there's the part of the eye inside, it's called the trabecular meshwork. Whenever it is clogged because of the density of the melanin pigmentation, it becomes difficult for the outflow and inflow of the aqueous fluid, which is what causes the buildup of pressure that causes damage to the optic nerve, which is at the back of the eye. Because glaucoma ideally is a group of diseases, neuropathic in nature, that affects the optic nerve. The optic nerve is the second cranial nerve, which is the, how will I put it now, like a lifeline when it comes to your eye, because the brain, is a huge part of what you, in terms of what you see, what you visualize. Because the truth is, vision is something you cannot downplay. The reason why we can enjoy our conversation now is because we can see each other, we can appreciate color, we can appreciate depth perception. But once you begin to tamper with those things, it begins to, people become a bit suspicious. So you can see someone who has lost his sight has become suspicious of everything in his environment. They begin to develop other sensory mechanisms like hearing, smelling, to be able to adapt to the changes in the environment. So sight contributes 80% to what we enjoy in nature. So that is why, this topic of glaucoma is something we cannot downplay. Now, for the age question, predominantly 35 to 80, I say 35 because all statistics say 40. 35 to 80 are usually more at risk. But the truth is, everybody can have glaucoma. Whether it's a baby, that's why we have what we call infantile glaucoma, congenital glaucoma. You have juvenile glaucoma. Open-angle glaucoma can show up in just any age range. We've had cases of 6-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 22-year-olds losing their vision as a result of glaucoma. So there's no age that is spared. Like I said, just being an African puts everyone at risk. Not so good news, but the good news is that if there is early intervention, it can be nipped at the bud.
So early intervention then therefore brings us to the point of the symptoms. I mean, I don't know if you're right, but if I hear glaucoma, I think of seeing something white in someone's eye.
No.
So what are the symptoms? What do you need to do?
Cataract.
Yes. Usually, now there are other forms where you get whiteness, like where the cornea is scarred, and leukocoria, and then cataract usually. But the truth is, all these diseases, you cannot just look at someone and make a diagnosis. Most times they're wrong. It's always good for diagnosis to be done by an eye care provider, an eye care professional, either your optometrist or your ophthalmologist. You can't do that at home because you just see some people, they're in the bus, you say, oh, you have cataract. Oh, you have conjunctivitis.
No, but usually, just like he mentioned, you find out that you have some persons who have some kind of faded, whitish cover, more like you have, how do you call it now? Maybe
cataract.
Cataract. And usually you could actually see and say, okay, that's cataract, because it looks like a transparent covering.
Well, you could just say you have an eye problem. Go see your eye care provider. Because the truth is, once you tell somebody in our climb that you have cataract, the next thing they're going to do is to get breast milk or get urine to put in the eye. Yes, those practices are still prevalent today. Sadly, they put olive oil, that's anointing oil, engine oil, all manner of things. Onions.
Engine oil?
Yes.
On the eye?
Sea water. I mean, just last week, we had to deal with 2 cases of that. And these people are even enlightened. So you're wondering if people who are university graduates can still go through this deceit, how much more people who are in the rural, suburban areas, what would they be going through? So just looking at someone is not enough to make a diagnosis. For instance, glaucoma diagnosis cannot be done at
a glance.
You can't do that.
Well, if you're affected as a person, are there things you can look out for to say, I need to go check myself in?
Well, like I said, for closed-angle glaucoma, yes. It comes with sharp pain. Usually it's a medical emergency. So because of the pain, vomiting, blurred vision and all that, the person knows he has to do something about it. But for open-angle glaucoma, there is no obvious sign or symptom. Now, that is why we are making noise about it. Now, I'll use this very old illustration. You know, in those days, for those that lived in the village, where there were a lot of rats, ratus navigicus. Okay? So, you know, when they're sleeping, the rats will go and start eating around the leg, the feet. And then the person, it will be blowing, eating. By the time he wakes up, the damage has been done. But it's when you put your foot on the ground, wow, that huge gap. If you've never experienced it, you will never. I have experienced it, so I know during boarding school then, you know. So that's how glaucoma is. It does the damage without any sign, without any symptom. The only symptoms you can talk about for open-angle glaucoma is a gradual loss of vision. But there's no way, most times, for that person to know. Like I said, people come and discover they have open-angle glaucoma when they come for other reasons. Maybe they are 40 and above and they have what we call presbyopia. They are beginning to have problem with reading things at close range. When they come, and if it's a detailed eye examination, the person is going to, and that's why I use the word detailed eye examination, because I'm not talking about eye screening. I'm talking about detailed, comprehensive eye examinations. I'm making emphasis on that because most people will tell you, oh, they came to my church to check our eyes. They came to my mosque. In fact, now we heard they do what we call compound screening. So they go from house to house, knocking on people's door to do screening. Now that is due to economic reasons. Most of these people have become desperate, so they are looking for ways to collect money from people. That is not a detailed eye examination. In fact, when you see the instruments and the equipment used for eye examination, you know there's no way you can bring that to a church. You can bring on a long scale basis and have effective treatment. Because there was somebody who went through one of these popular eye screening. He's an elite, about 62. Unfortunately, by the time he got to the clinic, he was already 60%, there was already 60% loss of vision in one eye and about 20% loss in the other eye. And all this while, they've given him a pair of reading glasses and he thinks that he's had his eyes examined. That is why we are making this emphasis. The doctor is your friend, and you know, even when people talk about the funds aspect of it, oh, it's not affordable, it's not this. How cheap is your vision? How expensive is your vision? Because those are the things you want to look at in terms of saying, how do I want to pay attention to this? I need to make, time out. I need to scale out these things on a scale of preference and say, look, vision is very, very important.
So if that's the case now, is there a possibility of glaucoma being treated?
Yes, it can be managed. It cannot be cured.
Treated. Okay, it can
be
cured.
Managed.
It can be managed.
Glaucoma cannot be cured. I make emphasis, it cannot be cured. You cannot reverse it. But like I said, if 40% of damage has been done, remember, whenever it steals, you cannot recover what has been stolen because it's the optic nerve. Usually, most nerves cannot be regenerated when it is damaged. So if 40% has been lost, you cannot recover that other 60%. What the doctor or the eye care provider will now have to do is to make sure with either drugs or surgeries or both, they preserve what you have left. That's why we said it can be managed, but it cannot be cured. So if anybody comes about touting, as of now, that he has a cure for glaucoma, now that person needs to be queried.
So let me ask you this one. We see a lot of persons who just wake up and suddenly they go blind. Would you say that some of this blindness, I mean, or most of it, because you say it's a thief, it comes gradually, and then one day you wake up, you're blind all of a sudden. Not that you were born blind, but that happens. Would you say that that's the case? Yeah, we say that's the case of glaucoma?
Sometimes, like I said, glaucoma is the leading cause, which means there are other causes.
Okay.
Yes. Sometimes it could be a combination of causes. So you could have glaucoma, you could have what you call amaurosis fugax, you could have ocular hypertension, blindness as a result of diabetic retinopathy. So there are a whole lot of other things. But the emphasis today is on glaucoma. Really, people can wake up and see they've lost their vision as a result of glaucoma. Because remember, it's very, very insidious. It's very, very unassuming. So it comes in, the person doesn't know it's there. So somebody can have it for 40 years and not know he or she has it. This is the reason. Glaucoma usually damages the peripheral vision before. So it leaves the person what we call tunnel vision. So when the person is looking straight ahead, he still sees. But the truth is, there's a test we use in the clinic. It's called the visual field test, perimetry. So it's a very detailed test. It will tell us how much of the fields have been damaged. Usually it starts from what we call the M fibers to the F fibers and gradually be. Now that's a very, very important test, but it's in and of itself is not enough to diagnose glaucoma. You can't diagnose glaucoma using a VHR. So the doctor does what we call ophthalmoscopy. There's what we call the direct and indirect method for doing ophthalmoscopy, where the doctor looks into the eye. Sometimes it looks like a torchlight, but it's not a torchlight. It comes in, he's actually looking at the structures to see how well formed it is. Is it nasally cupped? Are the blood vessels arcing normally? Then he measures tonometry, what we call the pressure of the eye. There are different instruments. Right now we have what we call the Goldman, the gold standard. Of course, we have more what we call the AirPop for measuring the pressure. The normal pressure in the eye should be between 10 millimeters of mercury and 21 millimeters of mercury. I repeat again, it's between 10 millimeters of mercury and 21 millimeters of mercury. That's the standard for measuring. But now, this measurement varies from individual to individual, because there's also another test called the pachymetry test, which is a scan that helps us to measure the thinness or the thickness of the cornea. The cornea is this transparent film in front of the eye. It's actually colorless. What you see most of the time is the color from the iris reflecting on it. Now, when they measure the thinness, sometimes if the eyes are too thin, even 17 millimeters of mercury or 15 millimeters of mercury may be dangerous for that particular individual. Why? Because of the thinness. So there are many factors that come into play. There's also what you call the OCT, the ocular coherence tomogram. I mean, most doctors like it because it's a bit objective and it gives detail in terms of the analysis of the eye to brain relationship, and sometimes it helps you with diagnosis, even prognosis of not just glaucoma but a lot of eye care related cases. Okay, so these are some of the tests that people need to look out for, you know, when they go for an eye examination. Not just testing you for glasses, please. Not just testing you for glasses. You want a detailed, comprehensive. Sometimes I always advise, once you are 30 years to 35 years, insist on having what we call a dilated eye examination.
What's that? It's a long story.
Not necessarily a long story, but eye drops are put in the eye, which forces the pupil to open up from 3 millimeters, 2 millimeters to about 10 millimeters. Okay. Now, when that happens, the doctor is able to have a very good view as to what is happening inside.
Hence the word dilated.
Yes, hence the word dilated. So it's cycloplegic, but it's more of dilated.
All right, interesting. When you dilated could also apply to the eyes.
Yes.
Let's. So for you saying you can never, know the symptoms enough, especially with
open angle glaucoma.
So you're advocating for regular eye checks.
Yes.
Where do people, and when you go for the eye checks, don't just go to check for your reading. Do if you can, a dilated eye test.
Once you are between 30 and 35, insist on a dilated eye examination.
So where can people who do not have the funds, because of course you talked about funding being an issue, where can they go to get tested?
Now, beautifully, we thank God at least the government facilities to a large extent now. You have a lot of them getting into specialization. I mean, as the chairman, I've had to visit some of the eye care institution. We have private clinic. The truth is, nobody's providing funding. Like you said in your morning show, the other man said everything is shut in. Some health centers, I used to work in a health center in one of the LCDAs, and even as a single optometrist there, I attended to over 50,000 cases in about 5 years. I still have my statistics and figures. Now, dealings with the government, we're not going to bring that topic for another day, But the truth is, doctors can only go so far. They can only go so far because you give your best and in nothing in terms of budgetary and policy for sustaining the healthcare system. So you have a lot of middle managers, or what we call doctors who have practiced between 4 years and 10 years leaving the country. Now that's a huge problem, because what you now have is an influx of new doctors into the system, which they need training and experience. They need training and experience over time. Because for you to have practiced for 4 years, 5 years, 20 years, now that's some. That's
and you live with that experience.
Yes, and then you just, and these guys are very smart. They just come in, offer you, and it's tempting. I'm telling you, when you see some of these things.
I hope we're not going to lose you to that.
you can't
topic for another day. I'm here, and I love my country. I've had the opportunities, been exposed, but I'm still here, which means there is still hope. There's so many other people who, want to make things right. But, there needs to be this cooperation between the private and the public system, this PPP arrangement, because if you leave it for the private, everything is going to go very expensive. If you leave it for the government, things will fall apart. So there needs to be this collaboration where things can really, make things work.
Okay. So let's, as we coast it down now, because we're looking at, we understand now that you're saying that this is, sometimes it's not necessarily, but doesn't mean that it can't be attributed to some of the practices, maybe not sleeping early like you have mentioned, but mostly it's hereditary. And because of that, you've also mentioned that there's no cure to this. And one of the things that you have recommended, it's because you're saying that it's genetic, therefore that's need for regular checkup. Apart from regular checkup, are there other practices, are there other things that one can engage in to just manage the entire, manage, because you're saying that at this point it can be managed, can be cured. So what can one behavioral practices apart from medical checkup that could also help?
Okay, so now we're talking about the primary or primordial level of intervention now, which is the best level of intervention. But like I said, for glaucoma, it's a little bit beyond that. So lifestyle. There are things that can aggravate, the experience if someone has glaucoma. So if someone suddenly becomes diabetic or hypertensive. Now, for instance, for high blood pressure could even speed up the pressure in the eye. There's a direct relationship from studies that have been found out. So when the BP goes up, there's also a tendency for the intraocular pressure. The intraocular pressure now just means the pressure inside the eye, intra-eye pressure. Just like you have the high blood or the blood pressure, the pressure inside the body. Now, which means if you try to be healthy, so we could reduce the mortality or the morbidity rate when it comes to glaucoma. So we always advocate eat right, as usual. Foods high in vitamin A and vitamin C. You want to go for a lot of dark green vegetables. People always say, oh, I have it in my egusi, I have it in my ogbono. But the way we make our foods here, we boil the nutrients out of them. So it's good when these things come whole. Fruits when they come raw as much as possible. That's where you can get the full benefits of the chlorophyll in the greens and the riboflavins, for instance, in the reds, because fruits have colors. So you have the reds, the greens, the yellows. So the greens, the reds, those things really help with the eye. There is this very important antioxidant. It's called lutein and taxanthin, recently discovered, that helps. So it's found in things like, carrots. But how much carrots can you really eat? Because I'm always very careful when you tell people to go eat something. So now somebody hears this now and he goes to buy a basin of carrot. They say, when I eat carrot, you go, no. We're just saying have a balance of everything. Eat right, sleep right, okay? Exercise safely. Now, because people who have glaucoma, you don't want to go and start doing certain kind of heavy exercises that can aggravate injuries and things like that. So that's why I said exercise safely. Look for what suits your particular body type. Because somebody may be into muscle training, you may not need that. You may just need aerobics and things like that. So look for what suits that particular individual. But like I said, the number one cause of loss of vision, in my own estimation, is ignorance, which is what we are trying to bust here now. When people are aware and then they take the needed steps, the necessary steps to, mitigate it, we have solved that problem. Because if I know that, look, I need to have a detailed eye examination, which means I need to have a budget, okay? And I need to do something about it. So I approach an eye care provider, trying to know who the right eye care provider is. That's what we talked about, going to general hospitals, the health center. There are loads of private. In fact, in Lagos, registered, there are over 400 eye care private providers that do the right thing.
Okay. We have to go. It's been an interesting conversation, and of course, I'm sure listeners are better informed now about glaucoma, our viewers rather, are better informed now about glaucoma. Dr. John Subsidy is the chairman of the Nigerian Optometric Association in Lagos State, and he's been a guest this morning on.
Of course, hints that Victor Moses might just be making a return back to the national team. That's the Super Eagles. Stay with us as we have Mighty George join the conversation.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Welcome to your favorite program, The Moment of Truth, brought to you by the Citadel Global Community Church. Our God is a God of salvation, far above all principality and power, and might and dominion, that regardless of what happens in this season, you will escape. Say to your neighbor, there is no peace for the wicked. The lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence is a man's precious possession. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
Moment of Truth with Pastor Tunde Bakare, Sundays, 7 p.m. on PlusTvAfrica.
Still, the breakfast on Plus TV Africa. We look at the possibility of having Victor Moses back in the team now, nearly 4 years after quitting the Super Eagles following the Nigeria's first round exit at the 2018 World Cup. A former Liverpool star and Chelsea wing-back, Victor Moses, is set to return to the national team. This is as Austin Aguavon, the interim head coach of the Super Eagles, says he's persuading Moses to come out of retirement. Whether we like it or not, in quoting his words, Victor Moses will bring some value. And this is according to some report. But right now, he's playing in Russia. We all know the problem with Ukraine and Russia. I'm happy to say that my conversation with him is settled. According to him, while Moses is not part of the squad that will face Ghana 2022 World Cup playoff, the 2013 African Cup of Nations winner is part of his plan. Now, what does the return of Victor Moses hold for the Super Eagles? We have Mighty George joining the conversation. He's a sports journalist and communications director of Vandreza FC. It's good to have you join us, Mighty George.
Thank you very much, Messi. It's great to be here again.
Okay, so let's get to the crux of this. It's been getting a lot of fans talking and Nigerians reacting to the fact that Aguavon is hinting of having Victor Moses back. Now, the big question is, why do we have to get players who have said that they're retired? They've actually gone away. I mean, we're looking at 4 years. Why don't we look at using what we have, or more like having more talent, new talent on board?
Well, thanks a lot for, the invite once again. I think that we have talked about this in lots of circles after Aguavon released the list, that had Victor Moses, who literally walked out of the team, so to say, after the World Cup. But his last appearance for Nigeria was at the World Cup, where he scored a goal. I mean, Nigeria was on our way to eliminating Argentina in that game. I was live at the stadium in St. Petersburg, Russia, where incidentally Moses now plays. So Aguavon, according to him, he likes the style of Victor Moses. Moses has been an excellent player, running up the wings, getting goals as well. Hasn't got so many in his playing career, but I think that he brings a lot to the team as well, especially in supply. When you see the likes of Moses Simon now, the other Moses, you kind of remember Victor Moses as well, especially when he hit the peak during his days with Chelsea. Well, Aguavon is he needs to get all the Arsenals to do the job. Even though it's on an interim basis for now, he has lined up some players, new and old, in quotes, that could do the job for him. And if he feels that Victor Moses can do the job, why not? He's playing regularly in Spartak Moscow in Russia. And according to Aguavon, he has Moses on his future plans. Well, the first hurdle is to home and play. So that would be determine if Victor Moses would even get back to the team. But he's alerted the whole Nigeria now that he's bringing it back to the team. And we just want to wait and see how that unfolds. Moses has scored only 2 goals since he joined Spartak Moscow last season. Like I said earlier, his primary objective is not to score goals. He's a winger. And he's still very much, athletic, even at 31. He brings stuff to the team. He brings things that, lots of vibrancy to the team. He wasn't asked to leave the national team. He says he was not going to play anymore. Many people took that as a slap. We've had a number of players who have walked out of the team to say Amy indicated that at some point when he was still expected to, to fire on all cylinders for Nigeria. We also had the issue with Vincent Iyama. We knew that was part of, a scuffle between him and Sunday Olise. So, penciling down Victor Moses, for me, I don't think it's a bad idea, but we have to cross the hurdle first, and which is Ghana, and then we'll see what happens after that.
We'll definitely come to Ghana and find out if we will be able, to withstand Ghana. However, but let's also stay, with the issue of Victor Moses coming back on board. Now, if you look at it, the query over time, the reason why Ghana Roar is still not, with the Super Eagles would be the fact that a lot of persons have queried the fact that we lack, tactics. And so if you talk about a tactical manager, he was a fantastic coach, and all of that. But, the tactics is what it is. Now, you would agree with me that Moses is a winger. And do you think that looking at the formation now the theme that we have, we seem to have fantastic player, but do we need to introduce a winger, to the play now when you have, others on board?
That's an excellent question because Ademola Lookman, interestingly, whom Nigeria has been courting for a long time, finally just agreed to play for Nigeria. So he's a winger. The issue with Lookman looks similar to that of Victor Moses, back in 2012 when we were trying to get him to play for us after he played for the England under-17 and under-20. So it's quite similar. Lookman is like the new Victor Moses. So I expect that Eguavon is probably just trying to see if he can get someone who can score goals and also replace Lookman, so to say. I'm not sure what his tactics would be, maybe to start Victor Moses ahead of Lookman. But, when you go through all that hassle to get a Lookman, you definitely will want to start him. So that's been the little question there that, why don't we go for all-out attackers and not just wingers? But just in the fact that Victor Moses does know how to score goals and the experience that he brings. I think that Eguavon is particular about experience. Lookman is a very young lad. Definitely has not faced this sort of situation before. Going to the World Cup if we qualify, and also playing against the very big sides, even though he does that week in, week out in England, but playing against national sides. I think it's the experience that Eguavon is looking at. We also have Moses Simon on the other side. Well, definitely he's covered, but Moses Simon also hasn't been to the World Cup, just like Victor Moses did. Remember, Moses Simon was dropped just, some weeks before the World Cup in Russia, which Victor Moses attended. So I think it's the experience part. And we're just hoping that he's right at this one, especially as he has said that Victor Moses has agreed to come back. It's a good thing, we can't just say, okay, let's forget them if they walk out of the team. Remember, Joe Igalo too, they tried to bring him back. It's the harmony. And there's something that Eguavon said as well. He talked about pacifying, which I really queried. Yes, you want to make everybody look good. You feel some people were very angry, how they were treated with the national team. He said that for the likes of Ogenyi Onazi, whom I'm definitely not sure he can bench anyone on that side. Onazi has also been recalled, which is quite interesting. Etebo as well has been recalled. I think that these players, according to him, weren't treated so well. So he wants to give them another opportunity. Okay, let's see if we can bring some form and dexterity to the team, and not just with the fact that people will say that, oh, well, they got angry and they left, and maybe the national team did nothing about it. As the man in charge, I think he wants harmony. Don't forget, tactically, he has also brought in, revived the wing play. That's why Moses Simon was doing a great job right there, the flanks. He's also giving them freedom of expression as well. So that could work for Victor Moses, just as it's working for Moses Simon. Experience, usually, I think, will come to play when we're playing at the World Cup. And Moses Simon has that ahead of the other wingers. So, like I said, let's just wait and see how that goes once we qualify, or if we qualify.
Well, let's also talk about the fact that you have Chukwueze also in the system. Some people are saying that the reason that there's a recall for Victor Moses would probably be because Chukwueze might not be, yes, we know he's quite young and not so much of the experience, if you want to say, but maybe he's not living up to expectations. Because we're also looking at the potentials in the club already and the fact that rather than, recycle, old people, but we understand the experience part. But why don't you look for, we're looking at 31 now, he's 31, compared to the time where he left, he was 27. I mean, age, you cannot take that away.
Well, I mean, yes, you can take age away, but just 2 days ago, we saw Benzema 34 and Luka Modric 36 combined to defeat, PSG mercilessly that had Messi in it. So those are experienced players. Those are old players, in quotes, if you want to call them that. And in every national team, you definitely will have, some of these players who are quite older. You have a Musa now who is the captain of the side. That's also one of the remnants of the 2013 Cup of Nations win. We have in there, we have Musa and of course Victor Moses.
All right.
So that's the class.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it's great. We also have Chukwueze. I think Chukwueze should be able to make the World Cup squad, but it hasn't been in top form, like he was in, let's say about a year or 2 years ago. We all saw his performance at the Cup of Nations. I think it was just overshadowed by too many people and couldn't hit the bullseye that much.
So quickly, Mighty George, we're running out of time now, but I'd like to share your thoughts on this one because we're inching closer to the 25th, 26th or thereabout, where we're supposed to have the playoff with Ghana. Do you see Nigeria winning? I mean, with the formation and with the hint, we're not very sure if we're going to have Victor Moses playing and some of these persons were called back. But looking at the formation already, is there a possibility that we will conquer, Ghana in this one?
This is probably all that we have. The lineup and the invites and all that. The only person missing is Alex Iwobi. The crux of these guys played at the Nations Cup. They will be very, very eager to make amends, for crashing out at the group stage, the second round rather. So we're looking forward to them qualifying. Ghana also have a point to prove. They were humiliated at the Nations Cup. It sets up for the biggest, probably, all 5 matches are very big, all 5 playoffs, but Nigeria-Ghana rivalry has to be one very tough one. And as a Nigerian, and knowing that Nigeria posted a good first half or first round performance at the Nations Cup, I think that Nigeria can scale through because these are the players we have. It's just about tuning them up and getting the right tactics like we talked about the other time. I'm rooting for the Super Eagles. So help us God.
That's so patriotic of you. Thank you so much, Mighty George, for being part of the show this morning. We do appreciate your time and your thoughts as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, Mighty George is a sports journalist and also the communications director of Vandereza FC. Thank you so much. Once again, we appreciate you. Well, that's the size of the conversation. If you missed out on any part of it, it's all right to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. Many thanks for watching. I am Mercy Bok. We'll see you on Monday.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
This medal has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
When I start hearing the shoot of gun.
Whatever I've done.
Every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you, while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on PlusTvAfrica.
I was pushed to the point that I had to start something not numb. And I'm a big risk taker, and I enjoy doing things that nobody really does. I wanted something different from every other art form that has been pushed out there. I didn't have that fulfillment in what I was doing, and I really wanted to express myself more as an artist, and I decided to resign and go into practicing art full time. I loved subjects that had illustrations or drawings in them. I just kept pushing it and went to the extent of studying art in school, so it's been art all my life. I try to conceptualize what I want to create in my head. Even in as much as scattered as it might be, I create it in my head first, then I put it on paper. I sketch, then I try to pick colors, and I proceed to the main piece. A friend of mine told me, like, there's really nothing that could be achieved with graffiti here. The piece behind me is titled Bold Steps. So I'm just trying to put my own, it's an abstract journey of African fashion has come so far. The word there is Ikeakpa. Ikeakpa is a Bini word for movement. So we are it's just a movement, and we have the shoes here, which shows the flow and the storm which the movement creates, while working. I'm also 7. I'm an African urban artist and design consultant.
Good morning, I am Jacinta Obiuku. This is the news brief. The crisis in the All Progressive Congress APC has deepened following a letter by Governor May Malabuni, which faulted Governor Nasir El-Rufai narratives on his purported removal as the chairman of the Caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, CECPC. The letter dismissed El-Rufai's claim that Boni was sacked as the party's chairman. Boni's camp had claimed that the embattled APC Caretaker Committee legally handed over the affairs of the party. Boni directed Governor Bello to act in his absence as the chairman of CECPC because he would be away for a medical trip to Dubai. Meanwhile, a political analyst, Biodun Shunmi, has said the Governor May Balabuni was replaced by the Niger Delta Governor Abubakar Bello as the head of the CECPC to avoid a further crisis from taking place in the party. Shunmi, who featured earlier on Plus Politics, stated that the APC was trying to resolve the crisis in a way that would reduce the infighting in the party.
I think the APC is trying to resolve their crisis the best way possible. If you look at what they're doing currently, rather than allowing Buni to scuttle the next election and the next convention, they decided to move, get him out of the place and put in somebody, Governor Bello, with a mandate to organize the convention. Otherwise, there'd be a crisis if they shift it again on March 26th. And that is not what they want. Yes, the president will certainly have a view on who should be particularly the chairman of the party. But we should not forget what they've done in APC currently. What they simply try to do now is to resolve all the problems of front. What they've done, what we call lateral zoning. The lateral zoning is about, dividing the country into two constituencies, that is the north and the south. And all the offices currently occupied by the north will now be moved to the south. All the offices in the south will be moved to the north. And then from there, you now have the micro zoning, within each constituency to now zone those posts to different areas. So they are trying to resolve it. I think those ones will be left, for other party shifting, to have some input.
A federal high court in Abuja has fixed April the 8th for the adoption of final written addresses in a suit filed by the People's Democratic Party PDP against Governor Bello Matawalle of Zamfara and Party to All Progressives Congress APC. And also, all his processes, Duma Igariwe has called on the sacked governor and his deputy to vacate office and stop parading themselves as governor and deputy governor. Igariwe mentioned that their continued stay in office despite the court judgment was wrong.
We have already taken their names to the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee to take a look at such a conduct because it is professionally not proper. And then the judge who sat in that judgment is already going to answer before the National Judicial Council for misconduct also. So it's a situation where Ebonyi State government led by Mr. So that was what happened in Abakaliki. They didn't just do that in that case. We have other cases we have filed against Umahi and the Ebonyi State government. They have that are lying legitimately bona fide before courts here in Abuja.
Suspended Lagos State Chairman of National Union of Road Transport Workers NURTW, Musililo Akinsoya, also known as MC Oluomo, has announced the withdrawal of the state chapter from the national body. Rising from a meeting at the State Secretariat in Agege, Lagos, Akinsoya announced the withdrawal of the state chapter from the national body, saying that all attempts to have an amicable resolution to the crisis with the national body failed. He said members have protested to the Lagos state government about the state of affairs and the union and urged union members to go about their activities without fear or molestation pending when the state government will make an announcement on their request. Meanwhile, the Lagos State government has watched closely the events in the National Union of Road Transport Workers Union (NURTW) and has suspended its activities, which must cease to operate in all parks and garages in the state. In a statement signed by the State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Wenga Omotosho, the government will set up a committee to immediately take control of the parks and garages, as members of the committee will be key stakeholders in the sector. The government's positions is premised on its responsibility to ensure that there is no breakdown of law and order in all parks and garages in Lagos State. A group under the aegis of local government and primary school retirees have staged a peaceful protest demanding payment of their retirement benefits. Speaking to newsmen in Asaba, they disclosed that their benefits accrued since 2014 to date are not paid. The group demands that the monthly allocation to the Bureau of Local Government be increased from 300 million naira to 2 billion naira, declare a state of emergency on pension payment for local government and primary school retirees, among others.
We use 35 years of our youthful age to serve the government. Now after retirement, they just dump us as if we were dismissed from the work. I retired 2017. Today I came here, I slum here. For you to believe that I slum, look at my knees.
Please, excuse me.
Are you seeing?
I want to
because of the tension I have been going through. So you people to help us people to cover, to pay us.
As I'm talking to you, 63 of the retirees has died in Warri South. Yesterday, one died again. So I want to understand the pain the retirees are going through. Most cannot pay their house rent, some cannot feed, many cannot buy their medications. So we have been coming here. This is the fourth time we are coming to negotiate with the governor of Delta State.
How many years would they use to pay the backlogs of arrears of pension? No pension, no gratuity. Nothing at all. It's 8 years.
Those who came out this afternoon to present to vet their anger for retirees' benefits are basically those of the local government and primary school teachers. And this is purely the issue that is within the purview of the JAC, which is the Joint Local Government Committee, where they discuss their share of the FAC. And His Excellency has promised that he will speak with them and see how they can make efforts to increase it.
The House of Representatives has denounced the unending terrorist attacks and gruesome killings by armed herdsmen and bandits in Benue communities. This follows a House resolution and the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance by a federal lawmaker from Benue State, Honorable Bem Mzondo, on the floor of the House of Plenary in Abuja. Mzondo, who called for an urgent need to stop the renewed terrorist attacks in Benue communities, urged the Nigerian Army, police and other security agencies to ensure the enforcement of the proscription order as published in the official Gazette 108.
Concerned that the suspicion and collusion of the connivance of the Nigerian Army and other security agencies in the attack, as an Army unit is said to be stationed at Teyode, a settlement of less than 5 kilometers from Ahense, where the invading herdsmen and bandits operated for more than 2 hours without any intervention from any security agency. Cognizance that the notice of proscription order, as contained in the Federal Republic of Nigeria Official Gazette dated 29 September 2021, Volume 108, on the activities of Yan Bidiga Group, Yan Tada Group, and other similar armed wielding groups in Nigeria are declared to be terrorists and illegal in any part of Nigeria, especially in the northwest and in the north-central region of Nigeria, are proscribed pursuant to Section 1 and 2 of the Terrorism Prevention Act of 2011. Again, aware of the provision of the Official Gazette that any person or group of persons participating in any manner whatsoever in any form of activities involving or concerning the proscription of collective intentions or otherwise of groups referred to in paragraph 1 of this notice will be violating the provisions of the Terrorism Prevention Act of 2011 and liable to prosecution.
The House of Representatives has requested the establishment of military bases in some parts of Kebbi State to curb incessant attacks by bandits, citing the latest security breach during which many local volunteers were killed. The issues was raised by Representative Tanko Sununu under matters of urgent public importance.
The lawmakers said the attacks in some parts of Kebbi State have led to humanitarian crisis and untold hardship in the southern senatorial districts. The House was worried that the current attack has left many families in this area and economic activities grounded. It therefore urged for deployment of more troops and equipment to eliminate the criminals and also provide relief materials to those affected by the attacks.
Concerned that if no urgent remedial and deterrent action is taken to arrest the incessant attack in Kebbi South, it has the capacity to make the area ungovernable, worsen the level of poverty, as many social services are already affected.
In a related development, a motion was also raised by the minority leader, Ndudi Elumelu, on a 22-year-old girl, Oluwabamse Anyowole, who was recently murdered in cold blood in Lagos State. The lawmaker is worried that many of the incessant attacks are underreported in view of the stigma attached to such incidents and molestation when such reports are made.
Further aware that Oluwabamse was last seen on 26th of February 2022 after boarding a BRT bus number 240257 at about 7 p.m. around Chevron bus stop. The stop that there are allegations that the BRT driver earlier confessed of having carnal knowledge of late Miss Bamishe before killing her and harvesting some of her vital organs, only for the story to change after some influential Nigerians perceived to have intervened on his behalf.
The House therefore urged federal government through the Nigerian police and national security and intelligence to fast-track investigation and ensure the killers of Oluwabamse Anyowole are brought to justice.
Nigerians continue to call for the improvement of health care delivery. That's on Street Views.
They are improving unlike the previous years, especially in general hospitals right now. There is a good facilities and the workers are really on ground and they have realized the reason to take responsibility on the job.
In general hospital, they will show you abuse you doing this and everything. Maybe government should help us to do the healthcare. I will like it. Everybody will like it.
Basically, well, I think they are trying for now. But I think there are lots of work to be done. Like we still have dilapidated hospitals that are not really working efficiently. And but basically for now, it's still on maybe 50% of 100. In a scale of 100, maybe 50% thereabout.
Relatively, if you look at the healthcare system in Nigeria, I think to me, I would, if I'm rating it, I'll probably rate it 70% in terms of percentage. And that's because there are some infrastructures we have in other well-developed countries that we don't have in Nigeria. And that's one of the things I feel government should look into.
I think there's still a lot need to be done because I've been in the different hospitals and especially the government hospitals. There are a lot of things that need to be done because especially the staffs they have the Nigerian public hospitals, they need to do a lot of things to correct their mode of talking to their patients.
Other parts of Africa, Ukrainian Deputy Prime Minister Irina Vereshchuk says not a single civilian has been able to leave the encircled Ukrainian city of Mariupol as Russian forces failed to respect a temporary ceasefire to allow evacuations. President Volodymyr Zelensky, in a televised address, said efforts to send food, water and medicine into the city failed when Russian tanks attacked a humanitarian corridor. Zelensky said Ukrainian authorities managed to evacuate almost 40,000 people from 5 other cities. $13.6 billion emergency package of military and humanitarian aid for besieged Ukraine and its European allies easily won final congressional approval, hitching a ride on a government-wide spending bill that's 5 months late, but loaded with political prizes for both parties. With Russian President Vladimir Putin's invasion killing thousands and forcing over 2 million others to flee, the Senate approved the $1.5 trillion legislation by 68 to 31 bipartisan margin. Democrats and Republicans have battled this election year over rising inflation, energy policy, and lingering pandemic restrictions. But they are rallied behind sending aid to Ukraine, whose stubborn resilience against brutal forces has been inspirational for many voters. And on business news, a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Securities and Investments aimed at boosting investors' confidence has passed the second reading in the House of Representatives. The bill, sponsored by a federal lawmaker from Katsina State, Honorable Babangida Ibrahim, seeks to, among other things, expand the scope of the charter to enable audit of financial transactions. He called on the House of Commerce legislative consideration on the bill, which, when fully passed into law, will enhance the optimal performance of the capital market. Now, entertainment news. A Chicago court has sentenced actor Joseph Smollett, one-time star of the TV drama Empire, to 30 months probation and 150 days in jail for staging a hate crime against himself. A jury in December found Smollett, 39, guilty of 5 of the 6 felony disorderly conduct counts he faced, one for each time he was accused of lying to police. Cook County Circuit Court Judge James Lane also ordered Smollett to pay over $120,000 in restitution and fined him $25,000, saying he did great damage to people that are genuine victims of hate crimes.
I am innocent and I am not suicidal. If I did this, then it means that I stuck my fist in the fears of Black Americans in this country for over 400 years and the fears of the LGBTQ community. Your Honor, I respect you and I respect the jury, but I did not do this. And I am not suicidal. And if anything happens to me when I go in there, I did not do it to myself. And you must all know that.
It is the worst thing that can happen, especially in our country with all our history and all that we're going through now to try to get around some of these issues. Hate crimes are the absolute worst. And I believe that you did damage to real hate crimes, to hate crime victims. There are people that are actual, genuine victims of hate crimes that you did damage to. These are people that have a difficult time coming forward. They may be mistrustful. They may not want to bring it to the attention of the community or first responders. There may be some trepidation. I don't know for sure how much damage there was. I don't know how this is going to impact other people, if they're going to be hesitant to come forward because they're going to think that they're going to be accused of acting like you and doing a stunt like you pulled here.
Emotional moment. My brother was sentenced to 150 days in prison, which while on its own might not sound like a long sentence to all of you, but if you could listen to the recital of the prosecutor's entire prosecution at the mouth of the duly elected judge, James Lynn, all right? I don't understand, and I spoke specifically today to the judge, and I asked for leniency. I did not expect him to be completely lenient and listen, but at the same time, he shamed my brother, He spoke about his arrogance. He doesn't know the struggles my brother is encountering. He doesn't know anything that he's dealing with.
And on sport news, Chelsea beat bottom club Norwich as Mason Mount scored one and made another on the day his club's long-term future was thrown into uncertainty. Travelling fans at Garrow Road chanted the name of Roman Abramovich hours after it was announced Chelsea's Russian owner had been sanctioned by the UK government. On the pitch, Chelsea's player responded to one of the most dramatic days in the club's 117-year history by storming into a 2-0 lead inside the opening 15 minutes on their way to a fourth successive league win. And that's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us at PlusTvAfrica on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. I am Jacinta Obiuku. Thanks for watching.
Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Welcome to your favorite program, The Moment of Truth, brought to you by the Citadel Global Community Church. Our God is a God of salvation, far above all principality and power, and might and dominion, that regardless of what happens in this season, you will escape. Say to your neighbor, there is no peace for the wicked. The lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence is a man's precious possession. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
Moment of Truth with Pastor Tunde Bakare, Sundays, 7 p.m. on PlusTvAfrica.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
When you actually buy your land and you want to build, it's more expensive than when you buy into a property that is being developed for affordable housing. You buy the house plot for 4 million, you will clear the land, you will pay the money fees, the community fees, you would start possibly fill the land, and then from there again you start producing. Now, because there's no large economy of scale, you will actually buy your block around 300 naira per block. If you are dealing with an affordable housing company, your block cost might come up to about 220, 250 because they are producing themselves. We try to eliminate third party as much as possible. If your land is triangular, you are going to waste a lot of money in construction.
Are you serious?
If your land is very irregular, up here, bent here, come out here, it's going to affect your design. The more edges you have, the more costly it becomes for you. So a rectangular land is actually the best buy.
Space and Style, 6:30 p.m. on Saturdays and 5:30 p.m. on Wednesdays.
In raising our kids, parents should stop playing God.
The internet is actually using the people.
But when you are looking for money to help other people, then it becomes easy.
Don't rush into marriage. I always say this. You rush in, you rush out.
Family is the bedrock of every society and the essence of life.
On Today with John and Helen, we dig deep into family values in every sense of the word.
Join us every Saturday at 9:15 a.m. on PlusTvAfrica, DSTV channel 408.
With you, we play a part in strengthening the values passed from generation to generation.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Now the weekend is here and rest is near. It's a Friday, Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. My name is Wally Scott. Welcome on the show, and too much drama happening across the globe. They call them different names, Shekpe Club, whatever you want to call them. They are Chelsea and they are Blues. Love it or leave it, you know. And I'll come back to my guest on the show later via Zoom. His name is Ladi Egbedire. Ladi, welcome on the show. Stay with us. We have something to show. Ladi, are you still there? Welcome on the show.
Very much.
Good.
Good morning, Wale. Good to hear your voice. Good morning.
Now we have
Chelsea this morning. That's
we have something to show, and then we'll come back to you. Okay. Now, fans of Chelsea said they were worried about the future of the club on Thursday after owner Roman Abramovich was sanctioned by the British government over his links to Vladimir Putin. Abramovich, who had been under scrutiny following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, announced he was selling the Premier League club last week. Now, fans outside Stamford Bridge, some of whom were traveling to Norwich to watch their team in action in the Premier League, said they were concerned about there could be a long-term impact on the club unless the situation was resolved quickly.
When you really look at it on paper, it's not the worst, but it definitely bites you. Like, I'm on my way to Norwich now. This is going to be my last away day till the end of the season. Thankfully, still got a season ticket, so we can do home games at least, but we're still going to be hurt with the fact that it's only 25,000.
He's a face. It's not like any of the other big clubs where you see them. Obviously, Chelsea are more of all the big clubs are sort of franchises now, but he's not. It's different with Chelsea, it's different with Roman, because he is, you feel like you love him, the amount of money he invests, and he really seems like he loves the club. In his in his leaving statement he put, I want to come back to the bridge, say goodbye to all the fans. And you do sort of believe him, but it probably is all just a lie pumped out by some media team of his to, I don't know, to make him look good. And feels like it's sports washing, and it has sort of worked. I mean, I sort of love him still, but yeah.
I am worried about the club, because obviously look at Rudiger, Christensen, Aspilicueta. They can't sign new contracts. We haven't got many defenders. We have got many defenders, but we're not. Come next season, we're not going to be backed up in the defence. So come next season, we might be struggling if the sanctions don't lift and all that. So hopefully, it all ends and we get new contracts in for him.
This was our actual dream vacation. So we had our stadium tour just 2 days ago, and we bought all these merchandise, and I always love visiting the stadium, and it was a nice and sunny, beautiful day. We went to the museum, we went to the store, but we never expected this to happen so early and not during our tour. Now we get to see, the sad part. So this situation is very complicated for us right now. The fans don't know what to do.
I'm really, really sad, and I'm emotionally very, very, very stressful about the situation, the sanction that we read on the social medias. It gives me anxiety and all this stuff, so I want to see my club one more time before I leave, and I don't know where it is going to be in future. That's why I want to say it very